Quick question before we begin. Have you ever been surrounded by people, announcements, lights, movement, and still felt completely alone? Tell us where you're listening from, and if this story resonates with you, subscribe. Stories like this deserve to be heard slowly. The airport never truly slept. Even at 2:14 a.m., it hummed with a tired kind of life. Rolling suitcases echoing across polished floors, fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead, the distant murmur of announcements spoken too calmly for anyone who was actually calm. Adam Cole sat in a molded plastic chair near gate C27, hands folded tightly in his lap, staring at the blinking word on the screen above him. Delayed. He had been staring at it for almost 40 minutes, not because he expected it to change, but because looking away felt harder. To his left, a woman slept awkwardly with her neck bent forward, arms wrapped around a designer handbag like it confirmed her importance. To his right, a couple whispered in frustration, their foreheads pressed together, speaking in the shared language of people who still had someone on their side. Adam had no one here, and that wasn't unusual. He shifted slightly, careful not to wake the small boy sleeping against his shoulder. Noah's breathing was soft and uneven, the way it always was when he fell asleep somewhere unfamiliar. One tiny hand clutched the collar of Adam's hoodie, fingers curled like they were holding on to the only solid thing left in the world. Adam didn't move. His arm had gone numb 20 minutes ago, but he didn't dare adjust it because Noah was finally sleeping. Adam had planned this trip carefully, too carefully. He'd booked the cheapest flights, the longest layover, the earliest departure, all because it was the only way to make the math work. Between rent, daycare, and the unexpected cost of replacing Noah's broken glasses last month, there wasn't much margin for error. This flight mattered. The job interview in Seattle mattered. The chance to start over again mattered. And now, according to the board, the plane wasn't coming.
A loudspeaker crackled to life. Attention passengers of Flight 482 to Seattle, due to unforeseen circumstances, your departure has been delayed until further notice. We apologize for the inconvenience. A collective groan rippled through the gate. Adam didn't react. He'd learned over the years how to absorb disappointment quietly. You didn't argue with it. You didn't curse it. You just adjust it. He reached into his backpack slowly and pulled out a folded coloring page, creased, smudged, and already half-colored. He placed it gently on Noah's lap, along with the dull blue crayon Noah insisted was the best one. Adam smiled faintly. Even tired, even broke, even stranded in an airport at 2 a.m, Noah still believed in favorites, in best ones, in certainty. Adam envied that.
"Excuse me." The voice came from behind him. Adam stiffened instinctively, the way you do when someone addresses you in public and you're not sure why. He turned. The man standing there looked out of place, not flashy, not overdressed, just composed in a way that didn't belong to midnight airports and stale air. He wore a dark coat draped casually over one arm, his sleeves rolled up just enough to reveal a watch Adam couldn't identify but instinctively knew was expensive. His expression was calm but attentive, like someone used to being listened to, yet careful not to assume it. "I'm sorry," the man said quietly. "I didn't mean to startle you." Adam shook his head. "No, it's fine." The man glanced at Noah, then back at Adam. His voice softened. "Your son?" Adam nodded. "Yeah. He looks exhausted." "So do I," Adam said before he could stop himself. The man smiled, not amused, just understanding. "That makes 3 of us," he replied. They stood there awkwardly for a moment, the hum of the airport filling the silence. "I'm Ethan," the man finally said, offering a hand. Adam hesitated, then carefully shifted Noah's weight just enough to free one hand. "Adam." Their hands met briefly. Ethan's grip was firm but gentle, the kind that didn't linger unnecessarily. Adam noticed that. He noticed a lot of things. "Are you waiting for Seattle?" Ethan asked. Adam nodded toward the board. "Apparently forever." Ethan exhaled quietly. "Same." He gestured toward the empty seat across from Adam. "Do you mind if I sit?" Adam shook his head. "Go ahead." Ethan sat, setting his coat neatly at his feet, posture relaxed but alert. He looked around the gate, taking in the scene with eyes that had clearly seen worse than this. "Traveling alone?" Ethan asked. Adam hesitated. "Mostly," he said. Ethan nodded, as if that answer made perfect sense. Minutes passed. They didn't rush conversation. That surprised Adam. Most people filled silence the way they filled empty cups, desperately. Ethan didn't. He sat there, occasionally glancing at the board, occasionally at Noah, like he was quietly guarding the space. Adam felt something unfamiliar loosen in his chest. "Is he okay?" Ethan asked gently after a while. Adam followed his gaze. "Noah had a long day," he said. "New place, new schedule. He tries to be brave." Ethan smiled faintly. Kids are better at that than adults. Adam let out a soft laugh, surprised by it. "Yeah," he said, "until they aren't." The announcement came again 10 minutes later. This time, worse. "Flight 482 has been canceled. Please see a service agent for rebooking options." Chaos followed. People stood abruptly. Voices rose. Phones appeared. Frustration spilled into the air like something toxic. Adam didn't move. He just stared at the board. Canceled. That word didn't come with instructions. Ethan swore softly under his breath. "That's not ideal." Adam nodded numbly. "I can't miss tomorrow," he said more to himself than anyone else. Ethan looked at him. "What's tomorrow?" Adam swallowed. "A job interview," he said quietly. "The kind you don't get twice." Ethan studied him for a moment, really studied him. "You're flying with a kid," he said slowly. "That's not easy." Adam shrugged. "Neither is staying." Noah stirred. Adam instinctively tightened his hold, murmuring softly until the boy relaxed again. Ethan watched the interaction, the way Adam's entire body shifted around Noah, protective without thinking, practiced without pride. Something in Ethan's expression changed. Not pity, recognition. "Adam," Ethan said carefully, "where are you staying tonight?" Adam's chest tightened. "I don't know yet." That was the truth. The hotel he'd booked was non-refundable, and his card was already near its limit. He could probably find something cheap, something barely acceptable if he was lucky. Ethan nodded slowly. "I have a suite at the airport hotel," he said. "It's already paid for." Adam stiffened immediately. I'm not offering charity," Ethan said gently. "I'm offering logistics." Adam looked at him, really looked. There was no expectation in Ethan's eyes, no leverage, no pity, just practicality. "You can take the couch," he continued, "or the bed. I don't care. I'll sleep wherever." Adam's pulse quickened. This was the moment where people judged him. Single dad. Too young. Too tired. Too much. "Why?" Adam asked quietly. Ethan didn't answer right away. "Because," he said finally, "I've had nights where someone doing the bare minimum changed everything." The service desk line stretched endlessly. Noah shifted again, murmuring incoherently. Adam looked down at his son, then back at Ethan. And for the first time in a very long time, Adam allowed himself to consider what it might feel like not to do everything alone. "Okay," Adam said softly. Ethan nodded, as if that was all he'd been waiting for. "Let's get you both somewhere quiet." As they stood, Adam had no idea that this night, this forgotten, fluorescent, delayed night, would divide his life into before and after. He just knew that for the first time in months, he didn't feel invisible. The airport hotel lobby was too quiet for how close it was to chaos. The doors slid shut behind them, muting the constant roar of announcements and rolling luggage. Inside, everything was dimmer, softer. Carpeted floors absorbing sound, warm lights reflecting off polished stone. Adam felt the tension in his shoulders ease by degrees he hadn't realized were possible. Noah stirred as the elevator doors closed, pressing his face into Adam's chest. "We're okay," Adam whispered instinctively. "I've got you." Ethan stood a respectful distance away, hands clasped loosely in front of him, watching the elevator numbers tick upward. "You don't have to carry him the whole time," Ethan said gently. "I can grab the bags." Adam shook his head. "I'm used to it." Ethan nodded. He didn't argue. That, more than the offer itself, mattered. The suite was larger than Adam expected. Not extravagant, just intentional. A living area with a couch and soft lamplight, a small kitchenette, curtains drawn back just enough to reveal the glow of runways beyond the glass. Ethan flicked on a side lamp instead of the overhead lights. "I figured we'd keep it low," he said, less jarring. Adam swallowed. "Thank you." It came out quieter than he intended. Ethan gestured toward the bedroom. "You can put him down in there. Bed's clean. I'll grab some water." Adam hesitated for half a second, then nodded. The bedroom smelled faintly of fresh linen and something citrusy. Adam laid Noah down carefully, easing his shoes off, tucking the blanket around him the way Noah liked, one corner folded, not tucked too tight. Noah sighed in his sleep. Adam stood there longer than necessary, watching his son's chest rise and fall. When he turned back, Ethan was standing in the doorway holding 2 glasses of water. "He okay?" Ethan asked softly. Adam nodded. "He always is, eventually." Ethan handed him a glass. Their fingers brushed. Adam felt it. Not sparks, not heat, just awareness. He pulled his hand back immediately. They moved back into the living area. Ethan sat on the far end of the couch, leaving space between them. Not accidental, intentional. "So, Seattle?" Ethan asked lightly. Adam nodded. "Hopefully." "What's the job?" Adam hesitated. "I don't usually talk about it," he admitted. "It feels like if I say it out loud, I'll jinx it." Ethan smiled faintly. "Fair." Adam exhaled. "Facilities management," he said. "Not glamorous, but stable. Benefits. A schedule that actually lets me pick Noah up before dark." Ethan nodded slowly. "That matters." Adam glanced at him. Most people didn't say that. They asked about salary, about ambition, about upward mobility. Ethan asked about time. Silence settled again. Comfortable. Heavy. Ethan finally spoke. "You don't have to explain anything," he said, "just so you know." Adam looked at him. "Explain what?" "Why you hesitated earlier," Ethan replied. "Why you looked like you were calculating risk instead of accepting help." Adam felt his throat tighten. "I've learned not to assume kindness is free," he said carefully. Ethan absorbed that. "I get that," he said quietly. Adam studied him now, really studied him. There was something beneath Ethan's composure, something worn, not broken. "Do you?" Adam asked. Ethan nodded. "More than you think." Ethan stood. "I'll take the couch," he said easily. "You should get some rest." Adam frowned. "You don't have to." "I know." There it was again. That line between offering and insisting. Adam nodded. "Okay." Adam slept lightly. The kind of sleep where you're aware of everything. The hum of air conditioning, the faint rumble of planes, the presence of another person beyond the door. He woke once in the night and checked on Noah. still asleep. Safe. Adam stood by the window afterward, watching the runway lights blink rhythmically. He felt strange, not relaxed, relieved, like someone else was holding the world still long enough for him to breathe. Morning arrived quietly. Adam woke to the smell of coffee, real coffee, not the burnt kind from airport kiosks. He padded into the living area to find Ethan standing at the kitchenette, sleeves rolled up, hair slightly mussed, pouring coffee into mismatched mugs. "I hope that's okay," Ethan said without turning. "I asked downstairs. They were surprisingly helpful." Adam smiled despite himself. "It's perfect."
Noah emerged moments later, rubbing his eyes, blinking in confusion at the unfamiliar space. Adam knelt automatically. "Hey," he said softly, "we're just staying somewhere different tonight." Noah looked around, then at Ethan. "Is he your friend?" Noah asked. Adam froze. Ethan crouched down immediately, meeting Noah at eye level. "I'm Ethan," he said warmly. "Your dad and I met at the airport." Noah considered this. "Did you fix the plane?" he asked. Ethan smiled. "I wish." Noah nodded solemnly, as if that explained everything. Adam exhaled. They ate breakfast quietly. Noah colored at the table while Adam checked his phone. No updates, no rebooking email, nothing. The familiar anxiety began creeping back in. Ethan noticed. "There's another flight in 3 hours," he said calmly. "Different airline. I can check availability." Adam looked up sharply. "You don't have to." "I know," Ethan said gently. "Let me check." Adam hesitated, then nodded. "Okay."
The tickets were expensive. Adam knew that before Ethan even said it. "I'll pay you back," Adam said immediately. Ethan didn't respond right away. He met Adam's eyes. "Adam," he said, voice steady, "I'm not doing this to put you in debt." Adam clenched his jaw. "I can't accept—" Ethan raised a hand, not to stop him, to slow him. "Let me finish," he said. Adam nodded reluctantly. "I'm doing this because I want to," Ethan continued, "because you need it, and because someday you'll do the same for someone else." Adam's chest ached. "That's not how things usually work," he said quietly. Ethan smiled. "It can be." Adam didn't cry. He wanted to, but he didn't. He nodded instead. "Thank you," he said. "I won't forget this." Ethan's voice softened. "I don't need you to." At the gate, things felt different. Adam wasn't alone in the waiting. Ethan stood with him, holding Noah's backpack while Adam adjusted Noah's jacket. The boarding announcement came. This time, real. Adam felt something release inside him. At the gate entrance, Adam stopped. He turned to Ethan. "I don't even know how to—" "You don't," Ethan said simply. "You get on the plane." Adam swallowed. They stood there, suspended. No expectation, no pressure, just presence. Noah tugged on Adam's sleeve. "Are you coming too?" he asked Ethan. Ethan smiled softly. "Not this time." Noah nodded, accepting this easily, the way children accept truth when it isn't complicated. Adam extended his hand impulsively. Ethan took it. They didn't shake. They held, just for a second. Enough. As Adam walked down the jet bridge, he felt something unfamiliar settle into his chest. Not hope, not certainty, possibility. And sometimes that was enough to change everything. The plane lifted off just after noon. Adam watched the airport shrink beneath the wing, the runways turning into thin gray lines, the buildings into shapes without meaning. Noah pressed his face to the window, excitement returning now that movement had replaced waiting. "Daddy, we're flying again," Noah said, like it was something miraculous. Adam smiled softly. "Yeah, we are." But his eyes drifted back, toward the terminal that was already out of sight, toward a man standing somewhere behind glass and concrete who had changed the course of his life without ever asking to be remembered. Seattle greeted them with rain. Not the dramatic kind, just a steady, quiet drizzle that made the city feel muted, reflective. Adam welcomed it. Rain made it easier to blend in, easier not to feel exposed. The interview went better than he expected. Not perfect, but human. Adam answered honestly. He didn't oversell himself. He talked about schedules, maintenance plans, safety. He talked about reliability like it was a virtue, not a consolation prize. When they asked why he was relocating, he didn't lie. "I'm looking for stability," he said simply. "For my family." The panel nodded. They understood that language.
That night, Adam lay in the small hotel bed beside Noah, staring at the ceiling while rain tapped softly against the window. He replayed the past 24 hours in fragments. Ethan's voice in the airport, the warmth of the hotel lamp, the steadiness of his presence. Adam told himself it was just exhaustion making it feel larger than it was. But some moments don't fade because they're dramatic. They stay because they're gentle. Back in the city they'd left behind, Ethan returned to a life that looked unchanged from the outside. Meetings, emails, deadlines, but something in him felt misaligned. He found himself glancing at his phone more than usual, checking nothing, waiting for nothing, or so he told himself. Ethan had spent years cultivating control. He'd built a reputation on calm decision-making, on seeing 10 steps ahead, on never letting personal matters bleed into professional ones. People trusted him because he didn't react emotionally. What they didn't know was how carefully that distance had been constructed. Ethan wasn't afraid of intimacy. He was afraid of what came after.
3 years earlier, he'd learned that lesson the hard way. The man he'd loved then, deeply, openly, without caution, had wanted a future Ethan couldn't give. Not because Ethan didn't care, because Ethan had already lost too much once. When that relationship ended, Ethan hadn't broken loudly. He'd just closed a door and reinforced the walls. It was easier to be useful than vulnerable. Until an exhausted man with a sleeping child sat beside him at gate C-27 and reminded him what quiet courage looked like. 2 days later, Adam's phone buzzed while he was unpacking. An unfamiliar number. He hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" "Adam," Ethan's voice said. Adam's chest tightened instantly. "Hi." "I hope this isn't intrusive," Ethan continued. "I realized I never asked if you landed okay." Adam smiled despite himself. "We did. Thank you for asking." A pause. "I was hoping you'd say that." They stood in silence for a moment, miles apart, connected by something neither had named. "I wanted to apologize," Ethan said finally. Adam frowned. "For what?" "For not asking for your number sooner," Ethan replied honestly. "I didn't want to overstep." Adam swallowed. "I didn't want to assume you'd want it." They laughed softly at the same time. The sound eased something between them. They talked for 10 minutes, then 20, then longer. Not about anything important. About the rain in Seattle. About airport food. About how Noah had decided blue crayons were superior to all others. Adam found himself relaxing into the conversation the way he hadn't with anyone in years. Ethan didn't rush him, didn't interrogate, didn't try to impress. He just listened. The job offer came the following week, not with fireworks, with an email. Subject line, "Offer of employment." Adam stared at the screen for a long time before opening it. The salary wasn't life-changing, but the benefits were. The schedule was humane. The tone of the offer was respectful. Adam closed his eyes and exhaled. They were going to be okay. That night, Adam called Ethan. "I got the job," he said simply. Ethan smiled on the other end of the line. Adam could hear it. "I was hoping you would." Adam hesitated. "I'm moving." "I know." Another pause. "I'll be closer," Adam added quietly. Ethan's breath caught, just slightly. "Yeah," he said, "you will." They didn't make promises. They didn't plan futures. They let the distance shrink naturally. Phone calls became routine. Texts filled the spaces between. No pressure, no expectations, just presence. Months passed. Adam settled into the rhythm of a new city. Noah started school, made friends, learned the names of trees Adam had never known. Life felt less like survival, more like living. Ethan visited once, for work. They met for coffee, then dinner, then a walk along the waterfront as dusk settled in. They spoke openly, carefully about their pasts, their hesitations, their fears. No illusions, no pretending. When they said goodbye, it wasn't heavy, it was intentional. Later that night, Adam lay awake again, but this time, the feeling in his chest wasn't ache, it was anticipation. Not for something guaranteed, but for something possible. And after years of carrying the world alone, possibility felt like the most generous thing of all. The invitation arrived on a Wednesday, not by mail, by message. Ethan didn't dress it up. "I'll be in Seattle longer this time. No meetings, no schedules. If you want to see me, really see me, I'd like that." Adam stared at the screen longer than he meant to. Then he replied, "I'd like that too." They met on a Saturday morning, the city still quiet with that early weekend stillness that felt borrowed. Ethan stood near the ferry terminal, coat buttoned against the wind, hands in his pockets. When he saw Adam approaching, Noah walking between them, chattering about boats, Ethan's face softened in a way Adam hadn't seen before. Unguarded, not for an audience, just for them. Noah stopped abruptly when he reached Ethan. "You came back," he said matter-of-factly. Ethan smiled. "I did." Adam felt something settle inside him at the simplicity of it. They spent the day without agenda. Lunch at a small cafe, a ferry ride that smelled like salt and diesel, a park bench where Noah fed crumbs to birds while Adam and Ethan talked quietly beside him. There were moments of awkwardness, not uncomfortable, just human. They didn't try to erase them. Later, as the sun dipped low, they sat on the steps near the water. Noah leaned against Adam, tired in that satisfied way children get when they've spent the day moving. Ethan watched them, the way Adam adjusted instinctively, the way Noah trusted without question. "I need to say something," Ethan said. Adam turned to him. "Okay?" Ethan inhaled slowly. "I've spent a long time keeping parts of my life separate," he said. "Public, private, useful, allowed." Adam didn't interrupt. "I don't want to do that anymore," Ethan continued. "Not with you, not with him." Adam's chest tightened. "I can't promise perfection," Ethan added, "but I can promise presence." Adam swallowed. "I don't need grand gestures," he said quietly. "I need consistency." Ethan nodded. "I can do that." They didn't kiss there. Not yet. They walked instead, back toward the city lights, towards something they were choosing deliberately. Weeks turned into months. Ethan extended his stay, then shortened the distance, then rearranged things he'd once sworn were immovable. There were conversations, difficult ones, boundaries, expectations, what it meant to build something with a child involved. Ethan never rushed, never pushed. When Adam faltered, Ethan stayed. The first time Noah asked, "Is Ethan family?" Adam froze. Ethan knelt immediately, meeting Noah's gaze. "That depends," he said gently. "What do you think family is?" Noah considered. "People who come back," he said. Ethan smiled. "Then yes," he said. "I'd like to be." Adam turned away so neither of them would see his eyes. The day Ethan met Adam's coworkers, there was no announcement, no explanation. Ethan simply stood beside him, hand resting lightly at his back. Visible, present, enough. Adam hadn't realized how heavy invisibility had been until it lifted. Years later, Adam would look back on the airport night and realize something. It wasn't the kindness that changed everything. It was the decision to accept it, to trust it, to choose a life where love wasn't hidden in terminals and temporary spaces. On a quiet evening, after Noah had fallen asleep, Adam and Ethan stood by the window of their shared apartment. City lights blinked below. Adam leaned into Ethan's shoulder. "Do you ever think about that night?" Adam asked. Ethan smiled softly. "All the time," he said. Adam nodded. "So do I." Because sometimes love doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it shows up late at night in a crowded place and asks nothing more than permission to stay. If this story stayed with you, if you've ever felt invisible or waited for someone to truly see you, you're not alone here. These stories exist because of people like you, people who feel deeply, quietly, honestly. Subscribe for more emotional human stories about love, healing, and chosen family. And before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe love arrives when we're ready or when we need it most? Your voice matters here.